We finally have a bounce on Bitcoin, a bounce that you can actually trust. I really think that this bounce is actually going to take us up. I'm going to show you why I think this bounce is going to take us up. It's happening mainly because of this chart over here, which is a 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗡𝗧. I don't know if you remember, but before I went on vacation, I said I think the 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗡 is going to break down, and that's going to cause the Bitcoin to actually start going up. Now we've got the 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗡 breaking down. But even though the 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗡 is breaking down, it's not all roses. It's not all roses because there is something going on in the background which actually isn't that great. And we're going to talk about this. I'm going to break down for you why the 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗡 is breaking down, why Bitcoin's rising, and why it may not be such a good thing. And then what I want to do is I actually want to talk about this chart, the ETH-BTC chart, because I really think this time that there's actually no hope for ETH, and that ETH probably, I don't think it will never recover, but I don't think that ETH will ever have its heyday ever again. I actually think that ETH literally may be dying, and I'll show you why I think that ETH may be dying. So if you're holding ETH, or if you're holding Bitcoin, or if you're holding altcoins, you want to watch the show today. It's going to be a massive show. I'm back from vacation, back a day early to bring you guys crypto love and crypto wisdom. Let's get the show on the road, guys. The man is back. Someone says happy birthday, Gummy. Is today Gummy's birthday, bro? Oh, something like that. Oh, maybe International Weekday. Is it 420? Yeah, no, yesterday was 420. Did you celebrate 420 yesterday, Josh? Andrew, did you celebrate 420 yesterday? Let me know in the comments if you celebrated 420 yesterday. Let me know how you celebrated 420 yesterday. Anyway, I'm back from vacation. It's so weird. I'm back from vacation. All the screens are back, and it's like I almost need to learn how to stream again. But I've got an amazing show for you guys today. All you need to do, as usual, is obliterate the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. I'm going to bring you a very high alpha show. I'm going to show you why Bitcoin's running and why it may not all be roses that Bitcoin's running. Then I want to show you what's going on with ETH, because I really think that ETH is at a point now where I don't see how this thing recovers, to be honest. I just don't see how this thing's going to recover. So big show today. Let's get the alpha on the road. Cool. So let's start off with Bitcoin. Let's quickly go to the Bitcoin chart. So this is a breakout that I actually like, and I'll show you why I actually like this breakout. So the first thing is you can see that we've reversed this trend. As Peter Brand says, a reversal of a trend, of a simple trend line is not enough. And what we really want to do is we kind of want to break above this 88,500 level, because if we break above this 88,500 level, it will be the first higher high that we put in this year. And that's quite a big movement. You can see we've been on this downtrend since the beginning of the year. Since January, we've been on this downtrend, and we haven't had one higher high since the beginning of the year. And it looks like if we can close above 88,440. And I'll show you why I think we are actually going to close above this 88,000. Maybe not today, but we certainly are in an uptrend. I do think that that'll be the first higher high of the year, and maybe even a trend reversal. And I'll show you later on that how bullish a lot of people are, specifically 𝗙𝗧 and a whole lot of others are, about this specific breakout. And they're bullish for the same reasons that I'm actually bullish. The reason why this Bitcoin chart is running, or why we're getting this run in Bitcoin, is primarily because of the 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗡. Now, you'll remember that before I left, I said to you guys that I do see the 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗡 breaking down. And what will happen when the 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗡 breaks down is that risk assets will reprice. As the dollar weakens, anything denominated in dollars has to reprice higher to remain at the same price in real terms. And so what you can see now is that the dollar is breaking down. But it's not all roses. And I'll tell you why it's not all roses. You've got the dollar breaking down. At the same time, you've got 10-year treasuries breaking down. So you've got the dollar breaking down. You've got the yields rising. And then instead of the markets going up, because remember, US markets are actually denominated in dollars, you've now got the markets going down as well. Usually, what you want to see is you want to see the 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗡 breaking down. In other words, the 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗡 getting weaker and the stock market's actually going up here. Here, what you're getting now is you're getting what we call the trifecta, or what you call the triple Yasu. Okay, now that's happened once before in Japan, or at least one of the scenarios that we know about is when this happened in Japan in the 1990s. And what happened was they called this the triple Yasu. And what this was a period when the Japanese currency was weakening, their bonds were weakening, and their stock markets are weakening. And that's not a pretty picture, because what that means is Usually, when the dollar declines or when a country's currency declines, usually people will run into their equities and run into their treasuries. But in this case, that's not the case here, right? In this case, what you're getting is people basically saying, look, we want out of the United States. We want out of the US currency. We want out of US bonds. And we want out of US markets. And that's not a pretty picture, right? Because when people are running away from a country and they're basically exiting from all the exits. They're getting out of the equities. They're getting out of the country's currency, and they don't want to hold the treasury. It means that people are really, really, really scared of what's going on in the country. And I mean, 𝗙𝗵𝗡𝗄 rightly points out, he says, look, the breaking relationship is a measure of stress in the markets. Usually, when bonds get cheaper, when the dollar gets cheaper and the bonds get cheaper, you want more people running into bonds, but people aren't running into treasuries. And this is pretty much the worst case scenario. It shows that investors are absolutely fleeing the United States, or they want out of anything to do with the United States. And what they're doing is they're putting their money into the safe haven assets. And specifically, they've turned to the old faithful safe haven asset, which is gold. They want out of the US. The US has been the safe haven currency, the safe haven markets, the world's superpower. And now they're exiting the world superpower, and they're going into the only safe asset that they know that is not linked into the superpower, and that is gold. And that's why you've got gold at an all-time high. Gold never, ever, ever been at 3,400. And it's literally going parabolic. I mean, here's a chart that is literally going parabolic. And you got to ask yourself a question. Why are people so scared of the United States at the moment? I mean, the United States is still a powerhouse. It's probably much better than investing in places like China. It's certainly much better than investing in places like the EU. So why are people actually running out of the United States at the moment? And the answer to that is very simple. Markets hate uncertainty. And what Trump has done is he's come in and he's done exactly the opposite of what he should have done. He's come in and he has absolutely created uncertainty. The uncertainty that he's created is not only about the tariffs and everything to do with the tariffs, but the uncertainty that he has created is about much bigger things than the tariffs, right? And so, things like speaking like this about Powell.
Jerome Powell, you said that the termination of Jerome Powell cannot come fast enough. He says he won't leave it, even if you ask him to.
Oh, he'll leave. If I ask him to, he'll be out of there. But I don't think he's doing the job. He's too late, always too late, a little slow. And I'm not happy with him. I let him know it, and if I want him out, he'll be out of there real fast, believe me.
So it's not only about the trade, the tariffs, and I mean the tariffs are a very, very, very big part of this. You know, as I said before, countries in the United States are absolutely paralyzed. They can't order goods because they don't know what the tariffs are going to be. Factories outside of the United States are also completely confused. They can't order raw materials because they don't know what orders are coming in. And it's pretty much caused mass confusion. But it's not about the tariffs only, right? It's not only about the tariffs. It's also about the market is starting to price in that I'll say this lightly, but the market is starting to price in that Trump may be unhinged. Maybe like this maniac that comes in, just makes the rule as he goes along. You know, he may run for a third term. He may fire Jerome Powell and completely reset the relationship between the government and the Fed. And the market doesn't like that uncertainty. And so what the market's doing right now is it's running into anything that is not the dollar, that is not the United States. And so what you're seeing is the 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗡 collapse. Now, when you see the 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗡 collapse, basically what that means is that people are running out of dollars and into the other currencies which are not the US dollar. So if you look at how the 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗡 is calculated, 57% of the makeup of the 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗡 is euro, 13.6% is the Japanese yen, 11.9% is the pound, and the rest are like under 1%. So generally, when the 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗡 drops, what you're going to get is you're going to get the euro appreciate against the dollar. And if you look at how the euro has performed since January this year, the euro has gained about 15% against the dollar. So people are running out of dollars and basically saying, look, we don't really care where we land up. We just don't want to be in the United States in the dollar. The same thing with the Japanese yen. So if you look at the Japanese yen, since inauguration day, the Japanese yen is 13% stronger against the dollar, right? So what you can see is that people are running away from the US. they're running into any other currency that they can. And what they're also running onto is the safe haven asset, the old, good, trusted safe haven asset, which is actually gold. Interestingly, one of the countries that is buying the most gold is China. And the reason why I think this is significant is because if you think about what we spoke about last week or the week before I left, we said that China was dumping US T-bills to reduce the price of US T-bills. And then what they were doing is they were dumping the T-bills, and then they were dumping the US dollars that they were collecting from dumping the T-bills, and they were buying. Well, now you can see that probably what they've been doing with that money is they've basically been exiting US T-bills to hurt the price of US T-bills. And then they've been collecting dollars and selling those dollars and actually putting that money into gold. The Chinese central bank increased its gold holdings by 5 tons in March, posting their 5th consecutive monthly purchase. This brings China's total gold reserve to a record 2,292 tons. This basically shows that everybody is exiting the dollar and China is leading that race. China being the second biggest holder of US T-bills, probably the second or third biggest holder of US dollars, and now they're exiting US dollars and they're buying gold with this money. And so now we're seeing a lot of flows into gold. Everybody's starting to hold gold. Goldman Sachs saying that gold's going to hit all-time highs this year. Most banks calling for gold to hit all-time highs this year. We really are seeing a massive spike in the gold price. And I really think that this is a parabolic chart. One thing I do know, as tempted as I am to buy gold, I do know that when charts go parabolic like this, there's often mean reversion. Josh, would you nibble at gold here? I mean, that you're buying a parabola. Like if this was an altcoin, would you be buying this altcoin? No. Okay, well, listen. So here's the deal. If you do want to trade gold, right, and you want to use crypto to trade gold, like I must say, if I want to trade gold and use crypto to trade gold, and actually even to take a little bit of leverage on trading gold, you can do it on 2 exchanges that we support. The first one is you can do it on Bybit. What you can do is you can trade gold. You can trade it through the PAX Gold or the XAUT-DUSD. If you do that and you unlock $1,000 airdrop, if you basically sign up to Bybit and you want to trade gold perpetuals, you can unlock $1,000 position immediately. So all you need to do is go to this link over here, and you'll be able to unlock $1,000 gold position if you actually start trading gold. There's a lot of money to be made in gold, which is why I don't mind talking about it. It has been traditionally boring, but it's not that boring anymore. So you can go to Bybit, you can get the $1,000 promotion, or you can go to BTCC. Now, here's the deal with BTCC. I'm going to read it off my screen here. The first 100 users to deposit over $10,000 get a $15,000 in a cash bonus, which they can use. And then the rest get 10%. So if you're the first 100 users to deposit $10,000, you will get a $15,000 bonus that you can actually trade. And if not, you will get 10%. So if you put in $50,000, you get $5,000. If you put in $20,000, you get $2,000. This is a very limited time offer on an exchange that allows you to trade altcoins and gold. Anyway, what we are seeing is we're now seeing that the Bitcoin and gold correlation is starting to go up. So the correlation between Bitcoin and gold starting to go up, and the correlation between Bitcoin and stocks is starting to go down. This is a very interesting relationship. The reason why this is an interesting relationship is because we always said that the holy grail for Bitcoin is when the market stops pricing it like a tech stock and starts pricing it like an equity, like gold or like a safe haven asset. And that's exactly what's starting to happen now. As you can see, if you look from the beginning of March, the correlation was negative 0.7. Now the correlation is just above 0, so trending towards 1, which means that now Bitcoin is starting to trade more like gold, which is going up in this scenario, than equities. And I think a good way to look at this is this tweet over here. So gold hit an all-time high. Now just hit an all-time high of a market cap of $22.78 trillion. The market cap of gold has increased by $7 trillion in the past 10 months, right? In contrast, if you look at Bitcoin's entire market cap is sitting at under $2 trillion, $1.7 or $1.8 trillion. that just shows you the size of the opportunity. So if you get people like Larry Fink going on CNBC and basically saying it's a digital gold, and Jerome Powell also saying that it's a digital gold, and now you look at the size, the sheer magnitude of the gold opportunity, right? Because if you look at the amount that gold has increased in market cap in the last 12 months, is equal to about 4 times the market cap of Bitcoin, which means just to catch up to the amount that gold has increased by, Bitcoin would have to 4x from here. That shows you how early we are, and that shows you the size of the opportunity and the size of the market here. So I did think that this is one of the big metrics here, is to say just understand the size of the market. If Bitcoin becomes the new silver, let's just say that Bitcoin becomes the new silver, it doesn't even overtake gold, and if it does overtake gold, then you've got a 20x. You got a 15x, call it, just for Bitcoin to overtake gold. So I do think this is extremely, extremely encouraging. What I do want to see on this chart is I do want to see that we do get a higher high. So I kind of want Bitcoin to go to 89,000 plus. If we get to that 89,000 plus, then I really think we could break the all-time highs when it comes to Bitcoin. Also, we're very close to reclaiming the 200-day SMA. And I think if we do claim that, that is corresponding more or less to the higher high. So I think if we can reclaim both those levels, and it looks like we could do it, maybe not today, I do think that that's a very good start. And it could also just be that we're catching up to the M2 money supply, which is what 𝗷𝗆's been talking about for so long. He's like, just have patience, because Bitcoin does catch up to the M2 money supply at some point. So that is the Bitcoin gold story. When it comes to the tariffs and the tariff negotiations, I think one of the reasons why the 𝗙𝗥𝗢 is crashing, and not crashing, but not doing very well. And if you look at the stocks aren't doing very well. Let's just see how the markets open. The markets open 1.6% down. S&P opened 1.6% down. I think the reason why that's happening is because the market's expecting to hear news about tariff negotiations. And the market's extremely, extremely, extremely impatient, right? So if you think about the markets are basically saying, look, it's been like 3 days and we haven't heard anything about the Japan tariff negotiations. Guys, these are very, very, very complicated negotiations. Like, I cannot even imagine how many axes these guys are negotiating on. They're negotiating on, like, what pricing, what are the tariffs, what are you going to buy from us, what are we going to buy from you, are you going to buy treasuries, are you going to hold the US dollars, what else are we going to throw into the deal? These are complicated negotiations. It's not like you're walking into a store and you're ordering a pizza. Like, these are very, 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 in fact, actually, hold on. Sometimes when you walk into the pizza store with your wife and she can't make up her mind, that's like tariff negotiations, where she can't decide if she wants ham or banana or pineapple. Actually, you should never have pineapple on a pizza. Do you know that? Banana is amazing.
On pizza.
Bro, banana and avo on a pizza. Insane. I'm telling you, banana and avo on a pizza is one of the best pizzas you can ever get. Well, I'll order you one tomorrow. Okay. Don't shoot down the idea. So it's a very good idea. Anyway, the market's impatient, right? And the market basically wants results. And they're not getting the results that they want as quickly as they want them. And that's why the market's losing patience. But I actually think this is a good thing. I mean, here, just to give you an idea, this is how long it takes. It takes on average 18 months to sign a trade deal and 45 months to implement. And this market wants a result in 1 week. Now, I do believe that the Trump administration will actually negotiate trade deals, and they will start announcing trade deals much quicker than any other administration in the world, because I do think that Trump is a master negotiator, specifically when he holds the cards, when he holds the biggest consuming nation in the world, right? So here's what I think lands up happening. I think we do get, right now, the market is getting nervous. The dollar's crashing and the stock market's crashing because they're not hearing anything about these hundreds of trade negotiations which are supposed to happen. Here's how I think it plays out. I think in the next week, maybe 2 weeks, we start hearing about the amazing trade deals that are done. But remember that if Trump wants to move manufacturing onshore to the United States, the one thing that he needs to keep a weak dollar. Because if he keeps a weak dollar, it makes US goods competitive in the international market. If the dollar is strong, then outside nations that want to buy US goods, those goods become more expensive. If the dollar remains weak, then what happens is the US manufacturing becomes more competitive in international terms. So here's how it plays out. I think in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we start hearing some announcements of the trade deals and the wins that are going to happen. Then what I think happens is that the dollar remains low because they've got to keep the dollar low to keep the US competitive. And the stock markets actually turn and start running. I think that's like the final turns. I think gold's turned. I think Bitcoin's turned. I think that what's going to happen is they're going to start announcing trade deals. As soon as they start announcing trade deals, the specific sectors that benefit the most from the trade deals start running. The whole market runs as a result. And then we basically get a massive, massive run. So what I'm insinuating is that we're finally going to have a catch-up trade between the S&P and the dollar. So I think right now, the dollar is running down while the S&P is also running down. But I think eventually the dollar stays down because that's where Trump wants it. And the S&P actually starts turning up. And that is, I think what's happening in crypto is starting to price that trade first. Bitcoin's starting to run. The altcoins are actually starting to run. So just look at this sea of green that we actually have on the altcoins. And there's some altcoins that are, no, come on, Nick. Banana on a pizza is delicious, bro. And if you put banana and avo on a pizza, insane. Honestly, insane. If you don't believe me, tomorrow for lunch. Remind me tomorrow, okay? Tomorrow we're going to eat banana and avo on a pizza live during the show. Just, can you do a vote and just ask people? Ran just lost all his Italian subscribers. I thought it was the Chinese that invented pizza, bro. Oh, no, that's just pasta, sorry. Okay, so look at the altcoins. The altcoins are starting to run. Like, they're coming off a low base, but there have been amazing runs in the altcoins. Some of the runs that are probably worth talking about is, I mean, if you look at Tau, which is the entire AI narrative, but specifically if you look at Tau's almost doubled. It's up like 90% in the last, since that day. What is that day? Let's see what day that is. Since the beginning of April. Wow. So it's almost doubled in less than 3 weeks. Then you've got Render, which has also done an amazing recovery in the last. The thought of pineapple on a pizza is killing me. I mean, no jokes. Pineapple on pizza isn't bad, but nothing beats banana and avo. So Render up 80% in the last 3 weeks. So you have had some insane runs in the last 3 weeks. One which I'm very proud of because I called this in front runners, and I actually told you guys on the show. I called it at 6 cents. I called it in front runners at 9 cents. Is SQD. I also think this one continues to run. I think they've got a whole slew of announcements that they're going to be announcing in the next couple of days and weeks. And this is a graph competitor. So they index smart contract data. And they are, I mean, in terms of revenue, they're bigger than the graph. And if you look at their market cap is, let me look at this quickly, SQD. Fucking Rollbit, bro. Rollbit has been at this price since the beginning of time. Market cap of $237 million fully diluted, where if you look at the graph, GRT, if you look at the graph has a market cap of $1 billion. And SQD has much more revenue than the graph. So to me, this is one that I called in front runners. If you're not in front runners, so I'm going to give you guys a 24-hour special. If you go to the link below and sign up for front runners in the link below, this link over here, and you do it in the next 24 hours, and you're unhappy within a month, you get 90% of your money back. 10% goes to these payment processing people, but we'll refund you 90% of your money if you're unhappy in a month. You can leave in a month. No questions asked. No questions asked. Anyway, so those are the altcoins that are running. Another one which is actually running, which Josh didn't actually want me to talk about because he missed it. 𝗏𝗏𝗏 is up 611%. Can you believe it? While you were sleeping, Josh, while I was away, 𝗏𝗏𝗏, the meme coin on 𝗬cie, up 600%. If it's gone up 100% today. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I do want to talk about I want to talk about one altcoin that's not actually doing so well. So we spoke about all the altcoins that are actually doing very well, but there's one altcoin that actually isn't really doing very well, right? Someone says bananas don't fail. Rollbit, what the fuck's going on there? Nothing's going on. Nothing's going on there. No more memes. We're done with memes. I'm glad we're done with memes. Someone says banana on a pizza sickens me almost as much as XRP hopium holders. That's brutal. All right, let's talk about ETH, because I actually think there's a lot of calls about ETH being dead. And I mean, it's hard to say that ETH is dead, but I really have lost hope for Ethereum. I just cannot see how Ethereum recovers. And if you look at the chart, the chart's pretty much telling you exactly that story. Just look at that chart of ETH versus Bitcoin. I mean, I actually haven't seen a chart like that just goes one way down, no recoveries. And every time we say, oh, it's going to turn now, it's going to turn now, it's going to turn now, and it doesn't turn. And the reason why it doesn't turn is because there is actually no reason for ETH to turn. Like, I wanted to tweet today and just say, in fact, let me actually do it live while you guys are with me. And like, let's just call a spade a spade. Let's quickly just tweet this. What is ETH? Because I always say, like, if you can't define what you are, like, what is ETH? And I think that right now, ETH is going through an identity crisis. I really think that ETH is going through an identity crisis. And like, when I say an identity crisis, I just don't know if ETH knows what it is anymore. And the chart's showing exactly the same thing. If you look at the ETH chart from the beginning of the year, ETH is down 52.3%. And if you look at the ETH Sol chart, the ETH Sol chart is up 50% this year. So it just shows that, like, on a relative valuation, ETH is probably the worst asset that you could be holding. Like, on a risk-return basis, probably the worst asset that you could be holding. And again, the reason why I think this is the case is I just don't know if anyone knows what ETH is anymore, right? Like, even the bankless guys who are like big ETH fans and big ETH shills, ETH, the ETH L1 is for DeFi. Hold on, no. Well, I thought we said that the ETH L1 is all about getting L2s to settle on it, and it's not for DeFi. And that's actually what Hayden Adams said. Now, just understand who said this. Hayden Adams, he's the guy that built Uniswap. He's now come out and he said, the Solana has a better roadmap, team, and approach if the plan is to do DeFi on L1s. Ethereum has been working towards L2-centric scaling for 5 years. Why do you want to ditch this at the last portion? And it just what this shows you is that there's just an identity crisis. Nobody knows what ETH is or why it exists. And I mean, the guys from Bankless wrote an article. The article addresses 6 points. 1 is the underinvestment in ETH. The 2 is the product mindset deficiency. 3 is the leadership vacuum. 4 is the ivory tower culture. 5 is the L2 fragmentation. 6 is the lack of competitive urgency. And the reality is that, like, they're trying to defend it and what's changing. But the way I see this is, why should you try and stick around while this big, heavy dinosaur, which has been slow to move and everything else, why should you stick around for this when you can just go into Solana and just go and join a team where, you know, the same as a founder on ETH says, they have a better team, a better roadmap, and they have a better approach. So why do you want to stick around and try and fix this big, heavy company or a protocol when you can just exit and put your money elsewhere? Now, even, I mean, you want to talk about an identity crisis. Even Vitalik is now talking, look, like we've like done this thing called EVM, and now we should replace EVM with this new thing, which is called, hold on, let me just, what's it called? It's called RISC-V, which would make it a lot faster. But again, like, you could either stick around while ETH tries to pivot this whole boat and turn this whole boat around, or you could just put your money into Sui and Solana. And like, to that, on that vein, let's just talk a little bit about ETH versus Sui or ETH versus Solana. The one thing that ETH has always prided itself on is the fact that ETH has more TVL and therefore is a much more serious chain, right? But if you look under the covers, you say, okay, hold on a second. If you look at the ETH stablecoins, ETH does have a massive amount of stablecoins, $122 billion to be exact. And that is a huge amount of TVL. But let's go to the lows. In the lows, ETH had 65 billion, which means that it's up nearly 100% to get to 122 billion. Now let's go to Solana and say, Solana in the lows had 1.57 billion, and now it's on 12 billion. So while ETH has 2x its stablecoin holdings, Solana has 10x its stablecoin holdings. And so what we can see is that the rate of growth of TVL, and I used stablecoins as a metric for TVL, just shows that actually Solana is starting to win here. There's another metric which ETH has always prided itself on, which Solana has now kicked ETH's ass on, right? I shouldn't say that. I'm trying to build the show into a much more credible show. You can't say things like eating bananas on pizzas and kicking ass and stuff like that. We got to change. From tomorrow, we are going to be better. So the other metric which ETH has prided itself on is the fact that ETH is a very secure network. And how you measure the security of a network is you measure the amount of stake that is securing the network, the amount of staked asset that is securing the network. And funny enough, that has always been ETH's claim to fame, is that, look, we have a more decentralized network with more money securing our network, right? Now, if you look at this over here, so there's $55 billion securing Ethereum, and there's $53 billion or $54 billion securing Solana. Now, that's not a big difference. And not only that, at some stage over the weekend, Sol actually flipped ETH, which means that at one point over the weekend, what you had Solana with more stake and therefore on paper, a more secure network. And so I really think that when you look at every single metric, Solana is winning. If you look at daily active addresses, ETH doesn't even feature. If you look at daily transactions, just look at the difference here. If you look at TVL, the TVL of ETH is coming down, while the TVL of Solana is starting to turn. There's really no metric that ETH shows me that it's actually rising up on, right? So I asked on Twitter, which one doubles first, ETH or Sol? Which one doubles first? And I think 63% of people said that Solana is going to double first. Then I kind of asked myself, what actually is the case for holding ETH? You could say, okay, well, there's an ETF, but remember that soon there'll be an ETF on Solana, and then that argument will fall away. And when there is an ETF on Solana, unlike ETH, where there was a huge grayscale product, there isn't a huge grayscale Solana product. And so there's not going to be a lot of selling out of that. And so for me, I kind of look at this and I go, look, I've said goodbye to my ETH many, many times. I'm saying a final goodbye now because I just don't think that ETH has any chance of actually coming back. And if it does, sometimes the process is just not worth the outcome. I don't really want to be involved in their process. I'd just rather just invest in Sol, maybe invest in 𝗬cie, or any one of these more dynamic, more cultural fit assets. So yeah, I really think that this is one of those cases where you got a lack of leadership, you got a very heavy protocol that you need to turn while it's in mid-flight. And I don't know. The return on effort for me just sounds like, nah, I'm not sticking around for it. I've got a few more ETH. I'm going to sell them. I'm going to buy Solana. Anyway, listen, guys. I'm back now. Remember, if you want to sign up for Frontrunners, 90% of your money back if you're unhappy. Also, remember that you can, if you're one of the first 150 people on BTCC, you will get $15,000 deposit. I shall see you guys again tomorrow. And then I'm going to see you guys again on Wednesday. I'm going to see you guys again on Thursday. See you guys again on Friday. And then on Sunday, guess what I'm doing? On Sunday, I'm playing polo, believe it or not. I'm not a polo player, right? But I committed to playing polo in a tournament. I committed to playing horse polo in a tournament. Now, I must say, I am making a lot of progress. I'll show you. Let me just show you. I'll show you one or two things here. I am making a little bit of progress. I won't lie to you, but I'm certainly not ready to play in a cup. But hold on a second. Let me see if I can drag a video here so that you guys can watch me on a horse. Okay. This is me in the front scoring a goal, but oh no, wait, hold on, you can't see. That's me in the front scoring a goal, but I'm not a good player, and I'm playing in a cup, guys. Come, so you got to wish me luck because on Sunday I'm risking my life playing in a polo tournament. So I'll see you guys again tomorrow, and I'll see you guys again for the rest of the week, and then send me love and prayers on Sunday because I'm going to go and kick ass in a crypto polo cup in Dubai. See you again tomorrow. Until then, trade well, my friends.